Hey, listen, hey, audit and fraud, friends and family. A restaurant owner, a black Escalade, and a mailbox. That sounds like the start of a bad knock knock joke, right? But if you put them all together, you're going to get more than just a dinner reservation. This week on the Friday Fraudster, our episode is, well, quite interesting. You're going to want to hang on to this one, friends. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
All right. Welcome, guys, to this episode of the Friday Fraudster. So, listen. I've got a question for you all. What's your favorite restaurant and why? What is your favorite restaurant and why is it your favorite restaurant? So I'm going to tell you what my favorite restaurant used to be back in the day, and then I'm going to tell you why. But I'm wondering, what's your favorite restaurant and why? And before we get too far down that rabbit hole, let's just go ahead and bring up our two co-hosts. That's right, I said two this week.
Upgrade.
So, how you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Good.
You didn't sound too convincing with that.
Me?
So let me ask you guys.
She's getting defensive already.
What's your favorite restaurant and why?
I think I have one.
All right, so I will say that there's a restaurant on the west side of Houston. It's called Cafe Caspian, and it's a Persian restaurant, and absolutely love it. So anytime I have a meeting anywhere near there, my wife's like, "You're gonna go pick up to-go stuff, and we're gonna have it for dinner tonight, right?" I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm having having a meeting there or not. When you walk in, it's clear like the family that owns the restaurant is all there, and it's very authentic and it's absolutely delicious. So yeah, that's mine.
Ah, okay. So listen, Carol is here. Happy Friday, Carol. Amber is watching it. You caught it live this week, Amber. No replay. You caught it live. And then some guy named Thomas is here. I don't know who this guy is. I don't think we should trust him. Kimberly, happy Friday. Kay is here. And Carol is saying that her favorite restaurant is a local Mexican restaurant. Great food and great service. So when I was a young kid, well, when I was in college, I was a bank teller, and next to the bank was this really, really, really good Chinese restaurant. And I grew up in Alabama. There weren't that many Chinese restaurants. We didn't eat a whole lot of Chinese food.
Yeah, I was about to say, like a Chinese restaurant in Alabama. That sounds like the beginning of a joke.
It does, doesn't it? But the thing was, so multiple times per week, I'd see this woman. She was well dressed, and she would come in and make these huge deposits to the bank. And so one day I finally asked her, "Hey, what do you do?" And she told me they owned the restaurant. And so after that, she started inviting me over to the restaurant. And I would go in and I would order and I would pay. And then at some point, she just stopped making me pay. I would come into the restaurant. She'd already know what my favorite meals were. They'd just bring it out and I wouldn't have to pay anything. I was like, whoa, this is actually pretty cool. Then she started picking my brain about college. Hey, you go to this college? I went to a local college. She was like, you go to this college? How do you like it? I was like, it's great. So then she introduced me to her children. She had me talk to her children about this college. And I was still getting all the free food in the world. And I was like, this is actually pretty cool. So, needless to say, for a very long period of time, my favorite food was Chinese food. Anywhere I went, I was trying to eat Chinese food, even learn how to use chopsticks. I can actually use chopsticks the right way. Um, so when I had the opportunity to travel throughout Southeast Asia, I go to these restaurants and they would hand me a fork and I'd be like, They would give me chopsticks and we sit there and just eat with the chopsticks. And they'd look at me. Where'd you learn how to Chinese restaurant? So yeah, but here's the thing. They had so much cash, so much money. I just couldn't believe it. I was just like, really? Does the restaurant industry make this much money? Now, of course, as I got a little bit older, I discovered, yeah, you do, because people love to eat. But I was a kid and I didn't understand how much money there was in the restaurant industry. What do you guys think?
I didn't realize it either.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, well, so here in Houston, the Tillman Fertitta is one of the more well-known members of the Houston community, right? And he's the owner of the Landry's Corporation, but he's also a partial owner of the Houston Rockets and Galveston Island, and he and some casinos, and but most of his money has come from the restaurant industry. So yeah, I believe it was large amounts of cash that they were bringing in, whether it was for food or for other things. I could definitely see how it was large amounts of cash.
Yeah, it was amazing to me. And then when I really paid attention to this little well put together mom who would just give me free food, like I said, every time you saw her, she looked pristine.
Mm-hmm.
And she had her late model Mercedes Benz sitting out front, and it was always clean. This was way back in the day when mobile detailing was a new thing. Every Friday, they'd come out and detail her car. Every time she brought us money into the bank, everything was just nice and neat and orderly. And I was like, whoa, maybe I need to open up a restaurant. I'm thinking about the wrong business here with accounting. So, now Gail says happy Friday from Barbados. Hey,
All
Gail.
right.
And I think this is Kay. Yeah. Kay said, not a restaurant, but love eating at home. Husband is a great cook and we eat very healthy. No junk food, no preservatives. Yeah. I don't eat out anymore now. And then
You're just too lazy to drive anywhere, Rob. That's why you don't eat out.
you're very true with that. Mike says, I promise I'm not making a backdoor joke. I'm not making a backdoor. Robert is old joke, but I suspect this story is from the 90s. Probably more cash than today's restaurant. Yeah, it is from the 90s, Mike. I mean, yeah, 100% from the 90s.
Surprise, surprise.
But yeah, so Chinese restaurants became my favorite for quite some time. And then I was just stunned at the amount of cash that they generated. So you have to imagine my surprise when I saw today's story, when I discovered that people who own restaurants were actually scammers.
It kind of makes you wonder how successful their restaurant is, because I was expecting the article went a different way than I was expecting it to.
Yeah,
right.
And come to think of it, and I know you'll go into the details here in a moment, and I know everybody's wondering what we're talking about, but there was a much smoother way they could have done what they did and made it look more legitimate to almost clean the money that they were working with.
Okay, so I didn't beat around the bush today. Usually the intro is a little bit longer, but today's just really boggled my mind. And Kay really hit it too. We don't eat out because we can't afford anything to pay retail when it has eggs in it. But the price has gone down, thankfully, for eggs.
I don't know about that. Not by us.
I think they were like $6 last time I looked, but then before that they were like 11 a few months ago.
Well, we buy the restaurant packs. So I don't know if you know what a restaurant pack is. So like it's Sam's Club, like you're buying a case. It's a case. It literally is a huge box. And we were paying $12, $13 for a box. And I think my husband was up in Green Bay and they were at $40.
Very interesting. Okay. So now I just teased it a little bit. In today's story, people who owned a restaurant, they were actually scammers, but not the kind of scammers that you would think. See, because when I first read the story, this is where I thought it was going to go. And let me tell you a story about something that happened to me. So, one time I was traveling throughout Europe and I went to a few restaurants and I came home and I got a call from my credit card company and they said, "Hey, Mr. Berry, we were just checking on you. How was your trip to Portugal?" And I said, "Oh, it was fabulous." And they said, "Oh, so you're home now?" And I said, "Yes, I'm home now." And they said, "Oh, so you didn't purchase $600 worth of women's clothing from this some kind of boutique that they named?" And I said, "If I just told you I'm home, of course I did not purchase anything from women's boutique. And obviously I'm not a woman, so $600 is a little bit excessive." So they said that their fraud monitoring caught it. And I said, "Great. Go ahead and reverse it because it's not mine." Now, in my head, I retraced my steps and where I could have used that card at. And I think I used it at, of all places, a Hard Rock Cafe. It had been a while since I had American food and I was kind of craving it. And it was actually quite nasty. But I'm fairly certain that's where it was stolen. And so then I did what any normal person would do. I checked my credit report to see if there were any other things that I may need to be aware of, right? Like any new credit cards being issued. But that's kind of what I thought was going to be happening in today's story. Anybody else ever had their credit card stolen at a restaurant? Or you speculate it was at a restaurant?
I've had it happen before where I've been like, maybe I shouldn't go there anymore because I'm pretty sure my card number was stolen. But nothing where I was like, oh, that's definitely where my card got taken.
So I had a previous career and previous degree and all of that, and then I shifted over into the accounting and internal audit world. And in that period in between, I went back to college to get my accounting hours, and I waited on tables and delivered pizzas for part of that time to get some income in. And I won't name the company, but the very, very well-known pizza company I was working for, right as it was like 2 weeks before I left, I think it was the local FBI actually came in because an assistant manager was taking credit card numbers over the phone and was writing them down and selling the credit card information to others. So I haven't had it happen personally, but I wasn't in a situation where that was happening. Rob, did Rob just freeze up on us?
I'm pretty sure he did. Oh, there he's catching up. He's back. Can you hear us now?
I'm back.
There we go.
He froze for a minute.
Yeah, I can hear you. So yeah, that is quite interesting because it is something that is very, very prevalent in the restaurant industry. Because think about this: whenever we're sitting at a table, we hand that person our credit card. So it's easy for them to just put it in a skimmer and take our number.
Very easy to do that, or write it down, or so many different ways they can steal the information. I like how some of them are bringing the machine to the table, or even have the machines at the table, where you're keeping it in your hand the whole time.
Yep, I do love that. Now, wrong one. Now, Gail was saying Never had to speculate about this, but this is an interesting conversation because now she's going to be suspicious when you enter anywhere serving food. But it is true. They historically would take your card, go to the back somewhere, you know, and now your credit card number has disappeared into the black hole of the dark web. Now, Kay is saying we went to an Italian restaurant a number of years ago, and within a week had $25,000 worth of fraudulent charges placed on the account, including airline tickets purchased. The guilty party employees were the culprit. They were working with someone at the credit card company. Oh wow. Wait, so somebody at the restaurant was working with somebody at the credit card company? That's
Sounds
just
like
wild.
it.
Wow. And I'm with Mike on this one. I don't really worry about identity theft either, because that's the only time the thief might have buyer's remorse. No one wants to be me.
I've seen the joke also where, hey, someone stole my credit card. They're spending less money than we do, so I'm fine with
it. Now that's
or like, why do I need multi-factor authentication to log into my student loans to make payments? Like, why am I going to prevent anybody from going and paying on my student loans?
Right?
Like, just let them pay it.
So now, to Gail's surprise, we now know that our credit cards are vulnerable at restaurants. It just makes sense, right? And this has been going on for years. Now, here's what surprised me about today's story. This is not what they did.
Nothing to do with it at all.
Right. Like, what you would have thought they would have done is not even close to what they did. It's like they wanted to make the crime hard on themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to stop teasing it, and I'm going to go ahead and get into what they were doing. So picture this. You are at home and you receive a notification of a new inquiry on your credit report. And then you discover that there's a new Citibank credit card in your name, along with notifications for new cards from Capital One and American Express. Now, around this same time, surveillance camera around where you live reveals a black Cadillac Escalade stealing mail from your mailbox because they're trying to get those credit cards, right? Well, that's what happened to the person, the victim, in today's story. See, down in Davie, Florida, police began an investigation after being contacted by the victim regarding the mail theft and the credit card fraud. And what they did was they captured surveillance footage of this Escalade, which was registered to an individual who owned a restaurant down in Coral Springs. So the police investigated, and they eventually caught these people on mail tampering. But here's the deal. It was the owner of the restaurant and one of his employees. So he gave his employee a side job. I guess this was like bonus or something. He needed extra. He needed extra money.
I'm just, why didn't they just use the employee's car?
So,
exactly.
Here's the interesting part, right? When they finally got some credit cards, the owner of the restaurant was seen dropping the employee off at Best Buy, where the employee attempted to buy some Apple products using one of the fraudulent credit cards, and the credit card got rejected. So now authorities executed search warrants for the restaurant and the owner's home. And so what investigators found were several credit cards in, was it the wife's purse?
Yeah.
that were not issued to her.
I mean, it kind of makes you wonder if they had ever heard of the internet, ever heard of, Ring cameras. There's so much that, and then having all of these cards in one spot in her purse that did not have her name on them. I don't know. It's just, it's one of those, if you saw it in a movie, you would think there's no way all of this would happen. These crooks are too stupid, allegedly. And yet here we are with reality this time. And it's, some of their decisions is just really strange.
Yeah. This is why I'm so baffled. So all in all, it's said that they allegedly obtained over $340,000 in property and services fraudulently. They were arrested, or at least one of the gentlemen was arrested on charges of organized fraud and money laundering.
I think I'm just more like surprised. This is ballsy to steal somebody's identity, order cards, have them delivered to their actual address. And what do? Follow the post office around until they deliver it?
Yeah.
Well, they were having to check these mailboxes daily. You don't know what's going to come in, and you're thinking nobody's going to think, hey, why is this? I mean, first off, a big black Cadillac Escalade is going to be noticed no matter where you are. And then it's driving through and checking every mailbox or, multiple mailboxes. Yeah, you would think you would think, hey, someone might notice this.
Well, like for her, she was notified of a new inquiry on her credit report and noticed a new Citibank credit card in her name.
Okay.
Freeze your credit reports.
Yep. Now, here's where it gets real interesting, though, because allegedly they obtained personal information from the dark web. So they went to the dark web and actually got social security numbers and other personally identifying info. If you did not know, all of our information is available on the dark web, and the price is going down. Now I think you can get somebody's identity for like 4 cents. Wow. So the going rate is usually pennies on the dollar. So let me just get this straight. They took time to research the dark web and what it was, took time to find people on the dark web that had credit card numbers. They actually purchased, credit card numbers and identifying information. Took time to purchase that information from the crooks. Also took time to complete credit card applications, staked out people's homes, waited for the credit cards to come, and then got them from their mailboxes when they could have just skimmed credit cards from patrons at their restaurant. Like that. Look, I'm not condoning a crime, right? But I'm just saying, this had to be the stupidest crime ever.
Well, I wonder, because I think I saw somewhere in the article that they were trading some information. So I wonder if they weren't skimming information and then selling it also.
I don't know. Even what they were spending it on, though, like I'm looking at this going, even if this woman didn't catch you, this was going to catch up to you. You were paying airline tickets, so they had to have purchased them in their names. You got yacht rentals. I'm guessing you have to have a driver's license to rent those. Utility bills, vehicle insurance, and daycare services. Eventually, your name's going to be tied to multiple transactions, but I agree with you guys. They did this the slow way.
And I don't know about y'all, but if I was living in Florida, first off, I'd be going to Disney with some of this money. If I'm still in $340,000, that's going to be a Disney trip at least. But why did they use Spirit Airlines? No offense to Spirit Airlines, but you normally think of that if you're trying to save a ton of money, not hey, let's make this expensive trip or something, right? So yeah, it's just so many weird transactions with this one.
Yeah. Well, did you also see? Hold on, I just lost my place. Okay, so They went to the liquor store. They went to Sam's Club and they bought stuff from Amazon. So you listen, you literally had stuff from Amazon shipped to your home or to a locker that was close to your home so that you could pick it up, right? Because you can do Amazon locker nowadays. But you ordered it in your name with a stolen credit card.
Yeah.
This must have been the easiest case for the authorities to work. I mean, okay, how are we going to find these people? Well, we have this trail, this trail, this trail, this trail. They probably had like a junior, right out of the police academy, be able to do this one just for kicks. I mean, that's what I would have done, just to be able to track all this down.
Yeah. I'm still a little speechless, right? Because it's almost like they took the long and hard route to do something that could have been done easier. Again, not that I condone crime, but this was a long way to do what they did. And then Kay brings up a really good point. She said, limit your losses and only use a small limit credit card for restaurants, gas stations, internet purchases. Because I had my credit card number stolen again one time in New Orleans. And I know it was New Orleans because I used this one credit card when I was in New Orleans, and it was a small limit, and it was the only thing that I had used it for. And then the next thing you know, there was a fraudulent transaction that tried to come through, and it was such a large amount that the credit card company actually rejected the transaction. So Kay is spot on with that advice.
Mm-hmm.
Kay said then they plead insanity, and that they didn't know what they were doing to avoid getting charged. Oh, that's not going to work on this one though, because they were, let's see, they're out on bond right now, but let's see, they were charged with
two
organized
of them were out on bond.
money
There's
laundering.
one that's still in.
Oh wait, say that again.
So two of them are out on bond, but the third suspect, the 34-year-old that's the employee, he's still in prison or jail. Sorry.
So the owners bailed themselves out and left their employee to sit in jail.
Yep.
Oh wow. Okay, so check it out now. The charges were organized fraud, money laundering, criminal use of personal identification information, fraudulent use of personal information of a deceased person. Forgot to mention that. So they got somebody's information that was dead, and unlawful possession of personal information of another person.
Wonder how long you think they're gonna get.
Well, I don't know, but I can tell you that typically a first-degree felony is punishable by up to 30 years in prison. The criminal use of personal identification is a third-degree felony, and it can carry penalties up to 5 years in prison. The fraudulent use of personal information is a third-degree felony with similar penalties, and then the unlawful possession of personal information can also lead to third-degree felony charges. So you've got the organized fraud, which is probably the more significant one. It is a first-degree felony, and it comes with up to 30 years in prison.
And then money laundering is up to 15 years in prison.
Kay says she can't help but wonder if this was one of those lost bet challenges to see how long it would take before you got caught. Here's what's really interesting. So you guys remember, okay, so we all remember the PPP loan frauds, right, that have been happening, and people were just now getting charged for that. But do you remember? Let me see if you remember this, because this was even more recent than that. You remember the Chase money, quote unquote, glitch?
Oh, are you talking about the TikTok fad? I got an ATM hack for you. Is that
Yeah.
what you're talking about? Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know this one. I don't remember this one.
I had so much anxiety when that was coming up because I'm like, there is no way that people actually think they're going to get away with this. And apparently there were people.
So
You can
okay,
tell.
okay. Let's lay the foundation and the context for everybody else. But first, let me just say this to you, Christine, and you got to think about this. You have to always look at things from another person's perspective.
Mhm.
The generation that was doing this, they didn't even know that it was a crime. They literally thought that it was a glitch and that they deserved the money because it was a glitch. Okay,
Which
so now,
is why I did talk to my kids about claiming stupidity doesn't get you out of felony charges.
there you go. So let's talk about what the Chase Money glitch was. So individuals discovered that if you went to a Chase bank and you attempted to deposit a check, which really wasn't a check, could have just been a blank piece of paper, through the ATM, and then you tried to withdraw money based on that check. So, for example, if you tried to deposit a $10,000 check and then you turned around and tried to withdraw $8,000, the ATM would give you money. And so they just simply called it a glitch, and people went around getting money out of ATMs. Now, this was on TikTok and it became a viral video, and they called it the Chase Bank Money Glitch. There was some people trying to warn individuals, don't do this. This is literally a crime. And people were actually filming themselves going to Chase Bank ATMs doing it. It's a glitch. We got money.
And like, we're not talking like a couple $100. Like there was a person like they ended up getting over 10 G's.
Yeah.
Like it was bad. And then when the duets would be coming through and people are like the original video, then the duet person comes on and literally goes, they do realize they just posted themselves committing felony, right? You guys know this is like check kiting or fraud, and
They didn't know. Like seriously, they had so I tell you what. So when you talk to young kids, they would call, especially during that time frame, they would call a lot of things glitches. And I'm like, you mean like they'd be playing
or
video
a
games?
hack.
Yeah,
This
there
was
you
a
go. Or
hack.
hack. Yeah. So they'd be playing their video games and something strange would happen. Oh, that's just a glitch. And I'm like, no, something's wrong with your game. You might need to figure that out. But yeah, everything was a glitch or a hack or so yeah.
Yeah.
Thomas, you never heard of the Chase Money glitch?
No, I never heard that one.
Did you try it?
No, never heard it, but it's probably one of those where I saw it, I was like, oh, people are so stupid. And yeah, I probably talked to my kids about don't do stupid stuff. Yeah, handle it. Yes, that's right. Exactly right.
Here's what disappointed me about the glitch though. Because let's just say if you never even knew that it was a crime, what happened to deductive reasoning in our society? Okay. So I'm just going to the bank and I'm gonna write a check that's not really a check, and then I'm gonna withdraw money from the bank. And then at some point, I don't think that this is a crime, or at some point, even if I didn't think it was a crime, at some point I didn't think that maybe somebody would miss that money because it belonged to somebody else other than me.
It reminds me of there's a t-shirt that I've always wanted to get, and I always have said it to my kids, and I laugh. I think it's hilarious. I always go, there's two types of people in this world. Number one, those who can extrapolate from incomplete data.
Yep.
I did say that to my daughter once, and then she kind of looked at me and she goes, oh, I get it now. And I go, okay, well, at least you didn't say anything. Like you didn't say, well, what's number two?
I'm just glad neither one of us said it, right, Thomas?
So now you guys got something that you can sit there and get people with. Cool party trick.
Okay, so now Gail has an interesting point. Wait, is there a question in here? Yeah. But will the ATM give you money if it can't read what's on the face of the check? Just asking. In Barbados, that's not going to work. No deposit if the paper can't be read as money. Guess they could try counterfeit notes. Here's the deal, Gail. A lot of ATMs in the US weren't actual readers. They didn't read the actual check itself. You told the machine how much you were putting in, and manually the bank would actually get the check, send it off to its deposit processing unit. Then they would verify the check then to make sure that it was actually a legitimate check.
Now I believe though it reads a little bit better, doesn't it? Because I know if I try to do like on my app and deposit a check, if anything's just a little bit off, it'll either not allow it or it'll freeze it for like 2 or 3 weeks before it'll allow it to clear.
Now, mind you, an app is different from the ATM though. So right, the apps are very smart. They use smart technology in order to read the numbers. But ATM, I still don't know if there are many ATMs in circulation that actually read the checks.
I think you're going to see more of it now, because now your banks and your financial institutions, they're upgrading to what they call our ITMs, or interactive teller machines.
Yep.
So they do duplicative services. One is you can have an actual customer facing representative on your screen during business hours. Otherwise, it operates like an ATM machine off hours. And it does have the reader capabilities, like kind of like what you do for your mobile deposit. But this kind of the Chase thing kind of reminds me, I remember growing up and our local bank did have their ATM machine. You just told the ATM how much your check was and they trusted you and it credited it to you right away. And you could take the money out right away.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's how it was with that, but that's essentially what it was. They could take checks, write them out to themselves off of their own account, deposit it. The ATMs weren't holding the money, and then they were turning around and just taking it out. That's why they thought there was a glitch. But that's why I agree with you, Rob. Like, if you just say those steps out loud, there's something about it that sits here and clicks. It should in your head going, something about this doesn't seem right.
Yeah. You just have to wonder, where is the deductive reasoning? Like, we just lost it somewhere.
Well, it's like the people that, there's a glitch and all of a sudden you have $1 million in your checking account. You know that that's not your money, and you know the bank's going to fix it. So why are you trying to spend it or try to use it when deductive reasoning should very quickly determine, don't spend that money.
Ooh, but you know what you could do? You know what I would do? Maybe I wouldn't do this, but you know what you could do in theory? If it's a lot of money, you could invest it overnight and then make a ton of interest off of it.
Yeah.
It has to be a lot of money. Like, how much money are we talking?
Oh, it would have to be a lot. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But still, that's something to think about.
Where was it? There was one that it was like I want to say it was like $1 billion or something like that. It was like a one person, one time event. It was like some crazy, gigantic amount of money that was dropped in on accident. Who was that? That was recently too. Y'all didn't hear about that?
No.
I'll have to look it up.
So if it was $1 million at 4%, overnight you'd make $110.
Yeah, it would have to be a lot, like hundreds of millions, right?
So if it was 10 million, you'd make 1,000.
What if it was 100 million?
Oh, here we go. Nope, I've got one. So Citigroup, this was March 1st. This was the beginning of this month. Citigroup mistakenly credited a customer's account with $81 trillion.
Oh,
when it meant to just do $280.
See, now you could invest that overnight and make some money, and then return the principal. Just say it.
Come on, Christine.
Oh, geez. If I just did 100 and what did you say? If I did 162 billion, not trillion, at 2%, gotta count commas. Hundreds, thousands. You'd end up making 4.4 billion in one day.
See?
In
That's what I'm
it.
talking about.
And this was $81 trillion. So yeah, they could have quickly taken that 81 trillion, invested it, made 2%, and then bring it back. They
Oh my God.
their grandkids could have retired.
I'm
Well,
just
if you
sitting here
ever-
and thinking to myself, their numbers, their cost of funds figures on their financials would have went.
Yeah.
So if you ever get $81 trillion deposited into your bank account on accident, you know what to do.
Even at the base 10 basis point rate, you're gonna still be walking out with $1 billion, $2 billion for one night.
That is insane. Now, Kay says sounds like the movie from Catch Me If You Can, the storyline from Catch Me If You Can. Yeah. Have you guys heard that they're now saying that he didn't do all the things that he said he did? They're saying he made a bunch of it up.
Well, at the fraud retreat, we had the journalist
that
that talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That he doesn't even talk about it anymore. And I did end up talking to somebody who saw him at a conference or something, and they said he did not talk about it and he did not answer questions about anything about that movie.
Interesting.
I think that's your answer right there. Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
surprised.
I mean, I think the whole time the stuff that they said happened in the movie was just a glitch in his life. So it just,
I mean, it's a glitch that paid off very well. I'm sure he's made tons of money off of this experience. And
yeah.
I mean, in all actuality, did it harm anybody? If he's lying about it, was there any harm that came of people because of it?
Well, I think there may have been some harm because he was working for the FBI for a period of time. And so if he was their expert witness, I would imagine some people may have actually been innocent that he may have said weren't,
True. But look at all the jobs that his movie created.
Yeah, but yeah, that's that's like saying some good came from evil.
I'd return the money, but then I would bill them. I would bill them for my time for finding their mistake.
Right? Wow.
I probably have to bill them for the medical expenses after having a heart attack, having $81 trillion in my account.
Well, but here's the thing. So this is what you would actually have to do. If this happened, you would have to move the money out of that financial institution. You'd have to move it out of there and put it into another financial institution to earn the dividends. Because otherwise, if it stays at the financial institution that accidentally credited it to you, they're just going to effective date it and not post you those dividends. So just in case this happens to you guys,
well, you may not even be able to get it out if it's a substantial amount of money, because they'll see that amount and be like, we're not transferring this amount of money out of our institution.
I'd write a personal check. I would write a personal check. I would put it into a CD. I would let the other financial institution place a hold on on my personal check, and I'd let that baby clear. And then as soon as the bank goes, hey, I'd be like, you know what? You were right. I didn't even think of that. Here, let me write you a check and give you your money back, and I will take that early withdrawal penalty.
Well, all right, everyone. Welcome to the Friday Fraudster, where today we're talking about how to commit fraud 101.
But it's not fraud. Is it? Would it be considered fraud?
I don't know.
We just slightly went completely off the
Hey, this is how we have to think as fraud fighters. You have to think this way.
True.
So, I mean, come on, guys. We know the first step in this is somebody's going to accidentally have to drop $3 trillion in our checking account. So,
I mean, it could happen.
I mean, it happened to that one person. Never say never.
Goodness. All
That's
right.
just
So
a big mistake.
anything else with this episode, you guys? With this story.
If you're gonna get in trouble for something, go the easy route. You're gonna get caught either way. Like, is that the bad communication? Am I not supposed to say that?
So the message for today is: if you're going to steal, don't be stupid. No, that was a good message. It was just funny. It was comical. I mean, look,
My filter's turned off.
Well, that, and then get a private jet and go to Disney. Don't go to the local clubs and pay for your kids' childcare.
Right. Well, and here's the other thing: if TikTok tells you to do it, you probably shouldn't.
Well, how did kids start eating Tide Pods? How did that become a thing?
Oh, geez.
Was it a TikTok thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. That had to be before TikTok, right? Yeah, true. I might have better odds getting hit by a lightning bolt, but you can hold out for hope. I'm still a little baffled by this one though, because like going to the dark web, completing credit card applications, stalking out people's mailboxes to see when the credit cards are mailed. That's a whole lot of work. On top
While you're
of
running a restaurant.
Yeah.
That's what gets me with most of these crimes. If they took the amount of effort and energy and focus and time and put it on something that was legal, how successful could some of these people be? If they put all of this effort into their restaurant, how could they?
Right.
How big could that restaurant, chain be right now? Right? It's sad, is what it is. It's really sad.
It really is, because the biggest fear is when you hear this sound, because bad boys are coming. Bad boys, bad boys. I don't have that sound effect, so.
So after this story, is there anything that you two are going to do differently than what you normally do to prevent something like this from happening to you?
I don't know, because, well, I mean, I guess the things to do would be freeze your credit report. Make sure you have a credit card where you can actually freeze it too, because most nowadays have an app where you can just freeze it, and then also put on alerts to where you get an email or a text every time there's a transaction over a certain dollar amount.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got alerts on my credit reports for my wife and I both. So yeah, that's the main thing that we've got to identify something like that.
And I think if you Google Equifax credit freeze, if you do it through Equifax, it does it through all three. I don't know if they have reciprocity with the other two.
Got you.
And you can also go to annualcreditreport.com and request a copy of your credit report. I always suggest to people pull one every 4 months from each individual one. So do TransUnion, wait, Equifax, wait, and then do Experian. That way you can monitor it throughout the year and look at who's pulling your credit.
Wait a minute, Gail. What do you mean? How old do I have to be to even recognize that sound? Gail, you do know that show is still on the air, though. Like, it's been on for years. So, but yeah, Gail, you and I are probably about the same age, Gail. We just don't tell anybody our age, right? I might tell you later on when I message you. You're gonna be like, "What?" Because you obviously don't know that I'm pretty ancient over here. Don't you see all this gray?
Yeah, you are. You're old. So I will bring up something, since I mentioned in my very first comment online that we're almost at the end of March. So that's probably only relevant to me because my birthday is, I know this is going to be shocking to everybody, but it's April 1st.
That sucks.
You know what? Too?
Sorry. was just like the one day, April Fools. You were born on April Fool's Day.
I am an
You
April
know,
Fool.
you know what else too, Thomas? I got you a really good birthday gift too. Just wait on it.
That's worried me over there.
I'm with you, Kay. Age is just a number. I'm in real good shape for my age, I think. I hope.
I don't think you're old, Robert.
I do.
I know, but you got to remember, Robert's the same. I think you're the same age as my husband.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's old too then, right? I mean,
Yeah.
But he's another one that doesn't look his age either, though. So
He doesn't, but I told him it's because he's a ginger.
that might be it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
I mean, I'm gonna get me some color, you know, and then I'll look like maybe 1 year younger.
Jeez.
Is anybody still watching the show? I can't believe anybody would still be around.
And I'm looking at the numbers. There's still quite a few people here, but I mean, they come for the conversation. You know, we talk fraud, we talk crazy stuff. I'm still just baffled by all the work they put in to do this one when there was an easy way. There was a glitch. There was a shortcut to this fraud. Oh boy. But you know what? Back to what Gail was saying. Gail, I've been watching that show for forever. Since the first few episodes, though. Seriously, one of my favorite shows. One of my favorite shows. So whether it's SVU or Criminal Intent, yeah.
What was that? What is the guy's name that was on? He had passed away. Andre Brower. What? Because he was also on like those, not Law and Order, but wasn't he on a couple of those in the 90s, 2000?
I don't remember.
His most recent thing, he was the actor Captain Holt in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did die. He died last year, I think, or was it this year? You're right.
I looked it up. 2023.
Oh, dang. Well, you know, I'm old, so I can't remember stuff. Yeah, he was yeah, I remember that Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Oh wow. That was 2023, huh? Jeez.
Yeah.
Seemed like just yesterday. Well.
Oh yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank you for joining us on this episode number 175 of the Friday Fraudster. I'm sure we'll have another good story for you next week. If you have any stories, you can send them to me because, well, I'm always ready to decrease the amount of work that I have to do. I mean, and if you want to be a guest co-host, let me know. Bring you on. You can come on and have a good time with us. All right, Kay, you too have a really good weekend. All right, with that said, we'll see you all next time.
Take care.
Yeah.